Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we are tackling a question that has really been lighting up the forums and, frankly, our inbox too. Is IONQ a good time to buy now? And the listener who sent over this stack of material fundamental analysis, technical charts, sentiment reports, they clearly get that quantum computing is, one of those super volatile but potentially really rewarding areas. Before we jump into the details on this specific company, just a quick reminder, please do subscribe, like the discussion if you find it useful, and definitely leave a comment. Seriously, if there's a company you want us to analyze next, drop it in the comments below. We really do want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And that's what we're aiming for today. Our goal isn't to just give a thumbs up or thumbs down. It's more about taking all this complex information you've gathered and distilling it. We want to pull out the most critical insights, explain the tech that kind of justifies the excitement, but also the massive cash burn needed and the real risks you need to keep in mind here.
Okay, let's dive right into that core contradiction you mentioned, because the financials, they almost tell two completely different stories, don't they? On one hand, you've got this revenue growth that's just explosive. IONQ reported, $43.07 million for 2024?
Yeah, that's right.
That's a 95.41% increase from the year before. I mean, nearly doubling your revenue.
Yeah.
That clearly shows huge demand, right? Customers are definitely buying in.
And it doesn't look like a fluke either. The analysts, they seem to agree it's got legs. The consensus forecast for Q3 2025 revenue is hovering around $27 million. That suggests, continued acceleration is baked into the near-term outlook, likely driven by their quantum cloud bookings picking up steam. The market seems to be validating their tech.
Okay, but hang on. You can't just talk about almost 100% revenue growth without flipping the coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But reports also show a net loss for 2024. It's huge. Negative $331.65 million. That's a 110% increase in losses compared to the previous year. How does that even work? How do you square that kind of loss with valuation? Isn't that the big red flag?
It is a startling number, definitely. But the analysis frames it as, let's call it the necessary price of admission if you want to lead in this sector. These aren't necessarily margin signaling failure. They reflect really aggressive, essential investment. It's like, imagine racing to build the very first smartphone. You're going to burn through cash, hiring the absolute best people, building unique factories, perfecting something totally new. That $331 million, that's covering intense R&D, building out their specialized infrastructure, and winning the fight for top quantum talent.
Okay, that context helps a bit, but still, that kind of burn rate. Cash doesn't last forever. How do they sustain that without constantly needing more money, diluting shareholders? And this is where the reports highlight the counterpoint. Their financial position is actually incredibly strong. IONQ reported $586.78 million in cash and equivalents recently, and crucially, zero long-term debt. That kind of liquidity, it changes the whole risk picture, doesn't it?
Precisely. That balance sheet basically buys them time. It gives them a multi-year runway, you could say, lessening the immediate pressure to show profits. Now, free cash flow is still negative. The reports mention they used about $32.6 million in operating activities in the first half of this year alone, but having nearly $600 million in the bank. That provides huge strategic flexibility. It lets them keep investing heavily until their tech really is commercial scale.
Right, so the cash cushion allows them to keep spending, which means we have to look at what they're building with all that money. I mean, burning cash only makes sense if you're creating a real competitive advantage, a moat, right? What is it about IONQ's approach that competitors supposedly can't replicate easily?
Well, the reports really hammer at this point. Quantum computing is fundamentally a race for fidelity. Basically, how stable and error-free can you make your quantum calculations? Low fidelity just means garbage output. IONQ gets recognized as a leader largely because of their specific technology, the ion trap qubit architecture. Think of it like this. If your internet connection has tons of noise, your data gets messed up. In quantum, fidelity is paramount. Ion trap systems use lasers to hold individual atoms, their qubits, suspended in a vacuum. This shields them really well from noise like heat or vibrations. The analysis suggests this gives them significantly better error rates compared to other methods, like superconducting chips, which are notoriously sensitive, or photonic systems using light, which can be tricky to scale up. That core stability, that's what big customers, especially governments, are willing to pay for.
And it's not just theoretical tech in a lab. The sources mention how fast companies are adopting it because IONQ is making it accessible. Their systems are available through AWS Bracket, Azure Quantum, Google Cloud, all the major players. That easy access for developers is critical for getting customers on board quickly worldwide.
Exactly. And you see this leadership translating into real operational wins lately. Just in September 2025, they hit what's being called a quantum internet milestone.
Hmm.
What that means practically is they showed they could convert quantum information to the frequencies used in standard telecom fiber optic cables. It's a key step towards potentially sending quantum data securely over long distances using existing infrastructure. A big deal for the future.
They're also expanding their focus, aren't they? That acquisition of Vector Atomic back in August 2025.
Right. That immediately pushes them into quantum sensing and related markets. So it diversifies their potential income streams beyond just computation, maybe into areas like defense or advanced navigation.
And speaking of defense and government, the board appointment seems significant too.
Definitely. Bringing General John W.J. Raymond onto the board late last month adds instant, high-level credibility, particularly in government and defense circles. That kind of strategic insight is gold when you're trying to win major government contracts, which, let's face it, are expected to be a huge driver for the whole quantum sector going forward.
Okay, so that builds a strong case for the long-term picture. Solid tech, good cash position, smart moves. Now let's shift gears to the market itself, the here and now. What are the technicals telling us? The stock price has certainly been on a tear. The 52-week range is pretty dramatic. $8.79 all the way up to $76.13. That screams strong investor interest, lots of accumulation.
Yeah, and we can look at the key momentum indicators to get a snapshot. The research confirms it's a bullish trend, and it seems to be accelerating. The current price is way above its 50-day moving average, which is around $48.82, and even further above the 200-day, down at $38.34. When that shorter-term average pulls away so strongly from the longer-term one, it usually signals sustained recent buying pressure. It's quite positive, technically.
But is it getting overheated? What about the RSI, the Relative Strength Index? It's at 63.46, according to these reports. What does that suggest?
It suggests things are definitely bullish, momentum is strong, yeah. But the sources indicate it's not quite in that extreme overbought zone yet, where a sharp pullback becomes almost inevitable. It's running hot, for sure, but the technical setup still looks relatively healthy.
And Wall Street seems to like what it sees too. The analyst sentiment summarized here is overwhelmingly positive. Average rating across 10 analysts is strong buy, and those 12-month price targets, they go up as high as $100. That's pretty bullish.
And it seems like confidence inside the company matches that external view. The reports noted net insider buying from senior execs recently, which is always a good sign. Plus, looking at institutional flows, what some called whale wisdom, there was net buying from big funds through Q2 and Q3 this year. That institutional backing is really vital for sustaining this kind of upward move.
Okay, so that brings us right to the immediate future. What are the potential catalysts, the things that could move the stock in the next, say, 0 to 3 months? There seems to be a few key dates. First, earnings are coming up. Q3 results are scheduled for October 15th, and then preliminary Q4 results around January 15th, 2026. A strong beat or raising guidance could definitely add fuel.
Absolutely. And beyond earnings, you have those important institutional dates. November 18th is when the 13F filings come out, revealing what the big money managers actually bought over the summer. That can be market moving. Then there's the quantum ETF rebalancing scheduled for December 2nd. These are times when large pools of money have to trade, regardless of the day's news, and that often causes significant volatility in the stocks involved, like IONQ.
And we shouldn't forget the rumor mill. The research mentions persistent chatter about potential strategic partnerships. Unconfirmed, of course, but talk about a major U.S. defense contractor or maybe an expanded deal with a big cloud provider keeps topping up. If anything like that gets confirmed, especially after the General Raymond appointment, that could provide a real near-term boost.
Definitely potential upside there. But before anyone gets carried away dreaming about that $100 price target, we absolutely have to talk about the risks. That strong buy rating in a sector like this always comes with, let's say, some significant caveats. The reports basically group the main risks into 3 categories. First, there's execution risk. The entire valuation really hinges on IONQ successfully, going from being a tech leader to being a company that can manufacture and sell at scale. There's just inherent uncertainty in scaling up brand new complex tech, delays in hitting performance targets, manufacturing hiccups. Any stumble there could really help the stock.
What about the competition catching up? You mentioned the ion trap advantage, but what if someone else has a breakthrough?
That's the second major risk. Technology breakthrough risk. IONQ's premium valuation is heavily dependent on them staying ahead, on continuously improving their qubit fidelity according to their roadmap. If a competitor, maybe using superconducting tech or something else, suddenly makes a huge leap forward and demonstrates a more stable or scalable alternative, well, IONQ's perceived advantage could shrink fast. That's a constant threat.
And finally, just the sheer movement of the stock itself. It's not for the faint of heart, is it?
Not at all. The reports highlight the high beta 2.54. What that means for you is that this stock is extra sensitive to overall market swings, especially in tech. If the broader tech market, like the Nasdaq Q, drops 1%, IONQ is statistically likely to drop around 2.5%. You have to be ready for potentially huge gains, yes, but also equally sharp, painful drops. It's a high volatility play, period.
So, zooming back out from those immediate risks, what's the longer-term structural view according to these sources?
The outlook still seems compelling. The analyses mention the potential for M&A. Maybe IONQ buys smaller players to consolidate, or maybe a tech giant decides to buy IONQ outright to get into quantum quickly. That's always a possibility.
And they have growth plans beyond the U.S. too.
Yes, concrete plans for entering markets in Asia and EMEA expected to start rolling out in 2026. That opens up significant long-term growth potential that might not be fully priced in yet.
So let's try to wrap this up. Based on everything in these reports, the growth, the tech, the cash, the risks, the sentiment, what's the final take?
The overall conclusion from the source material leans heavily bullish, giving it a 9 out of 10 bullish rating. The core reasoning boils down to that explosive revenue growth, the unique tech advantage backed by substantial cash reserves for R&D, strong institutional buying, and importantly, several potential near-term catalysts just ahead.
So, for you, the listener, considering the stock, the analysis suggests maybe two main ways to think about it. It looks potentially attractive for shorter-term trading, trying to capitalize on those upcoming events, earnings, partnership news, institutional flows over the next few months. But it also seems suitable for long-term investors who want exposure to what looks like the leader in a potentially transformative technology and are willing to ride out the volatility.
Yeah, the essential message is that IONQ presents one of those classic high-risk, high-reward opportunities. It feels like a generational technology shift. Their combination of leading tech and a strong cash position really puts them in a prime spot to benefit from the massive government and enterprise investment pouring into quantum right now.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. Considering how much emphasis is placed on institutional buying and those upcoming ETF rebalancing dates in November and December, how much of IONQ's current high valuation do you think is driven purely by its quantum potential versus how much is simply because major growth funds have to own the leader in the space almost mechanically? It's an interesting dynamic to watch.
Thank you for sharing your material with us today.
Until next time.